This is lesson 2.6 out of the Introduction to Algebra book. We are on page, we are on page 73, I believe, in Mrs. Walker's class. So lesson 2.6 is called the distributive property. The distributive property. All right, we've got the distributive property is something you will use a lot from here on out. So it's very important that you get the concepts of this lesson. It's not terribly difficult, only one page of notes here, but understanding how it works is super important, super important. All right, so let's start with your warm-up. Warm-up is going to be 3 problems, and I didn't write them down, so hopefully you're doing them in class. And your I can statement is I can use the distributive property. Pretty simple. Property. Yes, property. Okay. I can use the distributive property. Dark green pencil. And we have a very small, when you cut this out, you can cut out the blank space below the problems that you see here. We don't really need them. And so we need the room for other things, so go ahead and cut it off like I did there, and I'll get it glued in there. Oh, come on. All right. So here's how the distributive property works. I think sometimes it's difficult for students to see these letters and figure out what they're trying to tell you. I put it in there because you need to get used to seeing it, because that's how new math properties will be presented to you. But don't worry if you feel confused about these, because I will be explaining it in a lot of detail. So all they're saying is that if I had an equation set up that said A times B plus C in parentheses, well, that's the same thing as saying A times B plus A times C, or AB plus AC. We don't actually have to have the parentheses, because 2 variables right next to each other automatically means multiply. Same thing applies if you're using subtraction. So A times B right here is minus A times C, or AB minus AC. I know, a whole bunch of alphabet jumble here, but you'll get it. You'll get it soon, promise. All right. So one of the things that we do when we're learning the distributive property is sometimes, to help introduce it, we use something called the distributive rainbow. And so I'm just gonna draw a little rainbow here with my red, and then orange, and then yellow, the colors of the rainbow, and then green, and after that we have blue. I think it's more of a light blue, and then more purple, huh? Blue, and then let's see, I think this is purple. Purple. There we go. There's my little rainbow, and underneath that, with my pen, I'm going to write the distributive rainbow. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a second. So have a little fun drawing your little rainbow, and right under there, the distributive rainbow. All right, so we are going to have some examples now, and I'll show you where this little rainbow comes in. So let's see, black pencil. I will write the instructions for our examples here. Rewrite and evaluate using the distributive property. I'm going to abbreviate here because I don't want to go into 2 lines. The distributive prop. All right, so let me show you how it works. So problem number 1. All right, let's say we have 5 times 11 plus 4. All right. Okay, so our first step is to multiply 5 times 11. And here's where my little rainbow comes in. I'm going to draw this little arrow there to tell myself what I'm doing. First, 5 times 11. And 5 times 11 is 55, right? Now, the operation, whether it's adding or subtracting in the middle here, you just bring that right down. And then the second step is to take my 5 and multiply it by 4. So I'm going to take my little rainbow here, and 5 times 4, which is 20. And now I can simply do the math, right? So 55 plus 20 is 75. That's my third step, adding it all up. And there's my answer. That's using the distributive property, just like that. I multiply the outside number first with the first inside number, and then I multiply it by the second inside number, and keep the operation. That's pretty much it, guys. We'll do a few more examples to make sure you've got it, but pretty easy, all right? So number 2, we've got 6 times 30 minus 1, all right? All right, first step is 6 times the first number. So that would be 6 times 30. Well, 6 times 3 is 18, so just add the 0. And I know I've got 180. All right. And keep that operation, subtraction this time. And then step 2 is to multiply the 6 times the second number, which is 6 times 1, so that's 6. Step 3 is to simply add these up. I've got 186, and what did I do? Oh, I added. Whoa, I knew something didn't look right there. Hang on, guys. Let me find my eraser. That's not going to work, is it? Uh-oh. Hold on. These colored pencils don't erase all that well, but I'll try and do it as quickly as I can. That said subtract, not add. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, good. All right, so 186, 186. Subtract 7 minus, subtract 6 minus 6. And so I should get 174. There. Whew. I made that a little harder than it needed to be. There we go. 180 minus 6 is 174. 174. All right, so let's do 2 more examples just to make sure we've got this. Looks so pretty with all our colors, doesn't it? I know, it's kind of fun. These are fun. All right, so number 3. Let's do 12 times 3 plus 1/10. All right. All right, so same steps. Even though we've got a decimal in there, doesn't matter. Same steps. The first thing we're going to do is multiply 12 times 3. 12 times 3 is 36. Bring down the operation, which is an addition, plus sign there. Second step is to multiply the 12 times 1/10, which is, let's see, where's my orange pencil, which is 1.2. We wind up just kind of moving that decimal point. All right, and now we're going to add 36 plus 1 2/10, which is 37 and 2/10. 37 and 2/10. There's our answer. All right, and one last example. Number 4. 11 times 9 minus 4. All right. First step, multiply the 11 times the first number in the parentheses. 11 times 4 is 99. Second step is to multiply the second number. 11 times 4 is 44. Let's not forget to bring down the operation. Keep that subtraction there. And 99 minus 44 is 55. All right? So there's our notes. That's how we do it. Okay. So when we do this, of course, when we're working on our worksheets, we don't use all the colors. But in the beginning, we will use the little rainbow arrows to help you visualize how this works. Eventually you'll drop that because you'll just understand. But for a while we're getting used to some new steps, we'll do that. And I don't know, kind of makes it a little fun, I think, anyway. So next, let's look at some practice problems and see how you do on those. All right, so lesson 2.6 practice problems, here they are. First, on your worksheet, you're going to see we didn't do this in the notes, but you're going to see a problem like that, like this one. So I just kind of want to go over it so you'll know what it means. All they're trying to do is to make sure that you understand how this becomes this. So look at it carefully and see if you can figure out what numbers should go into those blanks. And then the next part is just like we did in our notes. 4 examples of how to evaluate using the distributive property. So I'll bring it back up here and you can pause for a minute to do that first problem. Then I'll move it down here so you can see the rest of them. Pause and work these out. And now I'll show you how the problems are worked out. Okay, so fill in the blanks using the distributive property. Well, what they're trying to show you is that 8 times 12 is the first thing we need to do, right? So it's 8 times 12 minus 8 times 9. So 8 times 9. This means 8 times 12 minus 8 times 9. 8 times 12 minus 8 times 9. So that's all they mean when you see that on your worksheet. They're not asking you to find to evaluate it. Just fill in those blanks. All right? Okay, so then on the actual problems, here we go. So 3 times 20 is 60. So I'm going to put that down here. Do your little arrow. 3 times 20 is 60. Bring down the operation, which is addition. Then 3 times 4, there's my other little rainbow arrow, is 12. So I'll write that down. And 60 plus 12 is 72. And so that is my answer. All right? All right. 6 times 8 is 48. Bring down the operation. 6 times 2 is 12. Now I've got 48 minus 12, so that's 36. And that's the final answer. All right? Okay, next one. 6 times 7 is 4. Wait, let me draw my arrow. 6 times 7 is 42. Bring down the operation. It's subtraction this time. 6 times 2/10, or sorry, I hope I said 7 times 6. Now I'm not sure. 7 times 6 is what I meant, is 42. And now 7 times 2/10 is 1 4/10. And when I add those two up, not add, subtract. When I subtract 42 minus 1 4/10, I get 40 and 6/10. That's my answer. All right, 5 times 11 is 55. Bring down the operation, it's addition. 5 times 4 is 20. And now I add 55 plus 20, which is 75, and circle my final answer. All right? So I hope you did well on the practice problems when you worked them out on your own. Not too difficult. Let's take a look at our worksheet. So worksheet is going to be important that you watch. In our classes out at Shasta, we do something a little different, so I want you to pay attention here. On this worksheet, you will only be doing numbers 1 through 12. That's it. So take your pencil right now and cross off this area here and cross off this area here. The reason being is this part, which we don't go into in our notes, shows how to use some mental math using the distributive property, and we go over that in a Win Math class, not during our regular class. So right now, just cross those out, and your assignment is simply problems 1 through 12 on this worksheet. All right. I'm not sure what that'll look like on T worksheets, but you'll be told same thing. We save the mental math part of distributive property for Win Math. All right? So that's all we're doing on that worksheet. Everything there you've done in your notes, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then that leaves us with the exit ticket. As always, I don't give you the answers to the exit ticket. It's for extra practice, or your teacher might use it for other purposes. So go ahead and pause and practice this if you would like to, and then you can check in with your teacher for answers. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 2.6. And remember, the only way to learn math is to do math, and mistakes are proof that you're learning.